Hello, welcome to another episode of Emotion. It's been a minute, I know, but we are here again, and I want to welcome you to this interesting topic, which is all about the advantages and disadvantages of labia pulling or labia stretching. My name is Nasra Hassan, and with me I have an interesting guest whom you are going to get to know later on. As you are taking a guess who my today's guest is, kindly do click the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell so that you do not miss anything each time we upload educative content. Do not go anywhere because we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. And my today's guest is none other than Bridget Chigambo. She is a philanthropist, a girl child activist, and most of all, she is the founder of a girl child organization. You are most welcome, Bridget.
Thank you, Nasra.
I hope I've said it all because your introduction is a very long list, and I hope I've finished everything.
I know. I think that's enough. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the He Motions. This episode is going to be about girls, and we're going to have a very good conversation. My name is Kaligira Bridget Chigambo. I work with the Girl Potential Care Center and Green Shiro Limited as a founder and executive director.
I think we've forgotten something very important. You are a singer.
No, I like to call myself urban singer.
An urban singer.
Yes, because
Okay.
I'm not saying I train people how to excite their partners in bed, but I just talk about sexual and reproductive health issues with young people, which makes me an urban singer.
Okay, it is very, very interesting, especially this singer bit. Of course, we are going back to the other side of you, but this singer bit, because someone out there will be wondering how comes she looks too young to be called singer, because we are so used that singers are older women.
Elderly people, I know.
Yeah.
Singer literally means an aunt. So
Yeah.
if Nasra, you had your baby and she's a girl, I would call her my niece, so she would call me aunt. So if she has to use a local language, she would call me singer.
Yes, okay, that is a real meaning of singer, and exactly that's where I want us to stick a little bit, because you are too young, and people, okay, you might not be very young, but compared to this title of singer,
Okay.
because many people believe that a singer is someone who has experienced a lot
By
in
the
terms
way,
of these things of marriage, counseling, those things. But for you, you are that one. And why is it something that you are so interested in?
Actually, during my introduction, you told people I was a girl child activist, right? So literally, me calling myself an urban singer, it's not a title given to me by anyone. I just chose to call myself an urban singer because I like to share with young people about sexual reproductive health and rights, especially the rights bit. And that having so many people ask me questions made me think, maybe I could be a singer. So that's why I called myself an urban singer.
Yeah, and why did you choose that one? Why are you so much interested in talking about sexual reproductive health to the young girls?
I think the fact that in our communities or in our family setup or in our school setups, it's very rare for you to find access to sexual education.
Back to our topic today. Today we are going to talk about the labia pulling, which some people might not understand. Maybe people who are not in Africa, because this thing is done in most African countries. Yeah, so for some people who don't, first of all, understand this, maybe you could make it clear for people to understand what this labia pulling is and why people do that.
Okay. So I would say if we were to talk about labia pulling, I will definitely use experiences of cultures that I affiliate myself to, or some information that I've learned within our work. So labia pulling is like a form of FGM. most people think that female genital mutilation is just about the cutting off, the slicing of the clitoris and major and minor labias.
Yeah.
So in most cases, they don't really think or accept that labia pulling or elongation is part of the FGM act in Africa. It's normally done in Uganda. It's normally done by Baganda. It's mostly affiliated to cultural practices, and some people call it kuchalira ensiko.
Okay.
Yeah, where your mother entrusts you with an aunt, a singer, who takes you to the bush. Okay, it's not like, okay, yeah, it's a bush, and then you discuss about the anticipations that will happen in marriage. It used to happen, and they would take you through the whole process. They will like nurture you, prepare you for when you get married.
Yeah.
In context that in ATS we didn't really have a lot of education systems. We used to have the African traditional society kind of education where people would sit and have folk stories, and in most cases they were always separated, girls alone and boys alone, and they were taught according to their gender roles in a family.
Yeah.
So somehow during your gender roles, of course you were expected to get married.
Yeah.
And back then, the pleasure of your husband or the pleasure of your partner was more important than your pleasure, than your rights, than what you wanted.
Yeah.
So of course, it must have been an exciting practice for some people who were looking forward to becoming women and getting married, but I would want to think it was also a painful experience for some other young girls who really didn't like it. So labia pulling is like elongation of your labias, the labia minoras.
Yeah.
So in most cases, maybe you could have 0 centimeters, and you have to pull it to either 4 centimeters to 6 centimeters according to your personal preference or desire. And sometimes it would be continuous, because remember, the reproductive system of a woman is always deforming and forming, especially while you grow.
Yeah.
So in most cases, you are expected to pull after some period. Okay, from the stories I've heard, you would still keep doing the exercise so that your labias don't shrink.
Okay.
So in most cases, they used to do it to enable or enhance the orgasm, and
for women.
The orgasm for women, and also the pleasure for the man that you're having
The sexual
activities with.
Yeah.
And in most cases, it also was done to enhance the foreplay. So with the whole activity of sexual pleasure for yourself and for the partner.
Okay.
But in most cases, it was done for the sexual pleasure of the man that you were going to get married to.
Yeah.
Because right now, let's say, if I wasn't a Muganda or a Rwandese, because even Rwandese do it, they call it gukuna. And you find other countries, other cultural ethnicities have different ways of doing it. Others could have labia piercings. Others could have it sliced off, like the Nebi women who do the FGM, cutting it off completely.
Yeah.
So in most cases, it was more of misogynistic thing that cultures used to do, and in most cases, cultures are always recurring. If my mother did it, I should do it. If my aunt did it, I should do it, because this is what guarantees the success of the marriage, and the success of the continuous sexual pleasure for my partner.
Yeah. So if you've mentioned that it is actually for enhancing the sexual pleasure for a woman, and even for the man that they are going to be having sexual encounter with, where does the FGM comes from? As far as I know, the female genital mutilation, it is when there's pain, So,
Yeah, there's
because
definitely
this one,
pain.
if it is someone decides to do it because they want, maybe they want to enhance their sexual pleasure. So how does it become female genital mutilation?
We have basic cultural practices that are harmful to either someone's self-esteem, someone's rights, someone's reproductive health. Labia elongation or FGM and all the practices that are involved in the form of female genital mutilation. One, they are very painful processes. Two, they normally happen to young children because labia pulling happens between 15 and above, or even earlier as 12. So in the basic human rights violations, when you involve a child in making a decision regarding the change of their body parts, it's one, a violation of rights. Two, the fact that that whole activity involves deformation, it involves bleeding, it involves pain, it involves discomfort when you're doing a lot of basic activities. It makes us question, why is it really important for someone to alter their body parts? Because whether you've done FGM or not, whether you've done labia pulling or not, that doesn't guarantee the success of a marriage. Yes, it may contribute to the sexual pleasure, which was the initial reason why you were doing it.
Yeah.
But do we want to say that people who have not had the FGM and labia pulling on their bodies are not enjoying sex? Yes, that's why it was put among the violations of human rights,
Yeah.
so that we can bring our cultural leaders, our cultural systems, to at least see how they can adjust some cultural norms and activities for the safety of children, and also to enable them respect their rights. If a young girl decides to do it at 20, they're above 18, they have chosen. But because it's a cultural practice, it's a family practice, and sometimes it is forceful,
Yeah.
you find yourself, you find a child telling you, I didn't have a choice because everyone was doing it, I did it as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so where it becomes a female genital mutilation when it is practiced on a child who cannot decide.
Whether it's practiced on a child or an adult,
Who
it is still
against
mutilation.
their will.
No, it is still mutilation. Mutilation means changing or cutting off. Changing, altering your body part. If you pierced your ears, it is still a body part mutilation, because that's not how God created you. God created you in a different way, fully formed. You have specific holes on your body, but if you make any change to your body part, it is termed as a mutilation.
Oh. Okay, this is also among the female genital mutilation, but people still like it. Okay, sometimes for me, where I condemn it when it is done on a child, because I know there are some children to whom it was done even while they were at school, and there they had no choice. They couldn't decide, so they had to accept it. But if they had a choice,
it's both two way. Someone could say, I just want to respect my culture.
yes,
If my culture says we do it to women, I should do it.
for me to be a woman. But for me, if I'm now informed and I know what it is, but I want it anyway for my pleasure, maybe to increase my sexual pleasure. It is, I don't know. I don't see.
Yes, you can still do it, but the whole thing is the whole thing of trying to create awareness is have the information, and
so that you make a well-informed
choices.
choice and decision. Yeah, and what do they use maybe to do that?
So in most cases, from my experience and from my learning as well, if you're doing labia pulling, there are specific herbs that you use. there are specific herbs that you use. Sometimes people use ash. Sometimes they use there's a specific plant that they use. They burn it and then you use it to pull your labias. Other people who are in the Nebi culture use normal knives, normal razor blades to cut. Yes, please. Yeah, it's the reason why it's a violation of rights, because the whole practice, the whole process of cutting, one, it's not healthy. They don't use, they have a specific aunt who does it to you. They don't use the right materials or the right equipment, because sometimes it involves hands, sometimes it involves ashes, herbal medicines, others use knives, others use razor blades, and it's very unhealthy for the reproductive system.
Yeah. Lastly, maybe to conclude this, what is your last take on this whole labia pulling myth, if I can call it myth?
I of course I wouldn't call it a myth. So as a girl child activist that is very passionate about ensuring that people have choice regarding their bodies, so and in regards to sexual reproductive health and rights, I believe that practicing activities of labia pulling, elongation, all forms of FGM, let it be cutting, let it be piercing, should be done on young women who are past 18. And it should be a decision they make, not because they are doing it for a certain man, a certain reason of pleasuring someone they are not sure about. And if they should do the FGM or the labia pulling or the labia elongation, it should be a choice from what they want. And I would also like to urge the stakeholders, that is our parents, that is our cultural leaders, who of course want to preserve some cultural norms. They should know that some cultural norms are very harmful to the lives of young people, but also practicing such practices on young children is a violation of their rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bridget.
Thank you,
and we are so glad to have you today. I hope you've heard it all from Bridget. This discussion is mainly to open up people's minds in as far as labia pulling is concerned. It is everyone's choice to do what makes you happy. If you feel like you want to do it, you can do that, but at least you've had a lot of information. You can make an informed decision provided this information that you've had. This is just for you to be informed and make your decisions. And this brings us to the end of this particular discussion. From Emotion, we can't wait to see you in the next episode. Until then, it's a wrap. My name is Nasra Hassan. Bye-bye and stay blessed.